I don't know about you, but when I heard there was going to be a Valentine slasher romantic comedy, I rolled my eyes hard. And then there was the name, Heart Eyes. It's campy and bloody, and probably came across in the trailer like a My Bloody Valentine ripoff. But does it end up being cringy, or is it good? For the past several years, the Heart Eyes Killer, or HEK, has wreaked havoc on Valentine's Day by stalking and murdering romantic couples. This Valentine's Day, no couple's safe. This is directed by Josh Rubin, who also directed Werewolves Within, another horror comedy that I had a lot of fun with. Now with Heart Eyes, we've got Olivia Holt, Mason Gooding, Gigi Zumbado, Jordana Brewster, and Devon Sawa who stars. Just like the synopsis stated, there's been a serial killer attacking couples for a bunch of years in cities all over the US. So now, every Valentine's Day, they're fearful of going out and celebrating. Holt and Gooding play advertising execs who have to work together on a campaign and then inadvertently become the target of HEK. They're charming together, even though they verbally spar quite often. I think that's some of what makes the coupling so engaging, is that they feel strongly opinionated, yet still clumsy in their interactions. I mean, we can tell that there's chemistry, but one side doesn't want to admit it, while the other is being as alluring as possible. Their banter is endearing and one of the best elements of the film, allowing their timing and personalities to create personas that we want to see survive, and then get together. This is a very campy story, and the best part is that the movie knows it and fully embraces it. So when they lean into a trope that's cringy, they understand the cringe and embrace it, which then effectively removes the cringe. And the script is actually very smart when it comes to dialogue. Some everyday ideas and discussions are just naturally inserted that don't detract from the pacing, but work to make the conversations believable. They're probably things that you've said to friends that just subtly provide character development here, and I'll get to more about the development in just a bit. I like that the characters call out things that typical horrors don't, which not only adds to the humor, but also makes the characters more relatable. And also following on the trope aspect, the film is cognizant of its movie heritage, so there are many verbal, even a few visual references to other rom-coms. I wish I would have caught more earlier on because I think there are probably a few nods that I just didn't see. Now, I think the film leaves some very obvious clues open that some of the reveals, they become predictable and easy to guess. That doesn't mean, though, that the story still doesn't keep some surprises in reserve. Honestly, I wasn't too bummed that I guessed one of the major reveals very early on. I mean, the film still delivered wildly with its tension and anxiety. And because the killer only attacks on V-Day, there is a natural time constraint that's built in. So everything we watch play out is within a 24-hour period. So the urgency is prominent within the storytelling, but still executed in a way that doesn't come across as rushed. It's also the perfect length for the genre. It's 97 minutes long, so it's complimentary for both horror stories as well as rom-coms. And to help with the pacing, the movie kicks off with an exciting sequence, and then takes a step back to introduce us to the characters that we're going to follow through the story. And I appreciate that there's quite a bit of development provided to them without feeling like the storytelling has come to a screeching halt, or that someone has stopped down to deliver awkward exposition. The background and character expansion come through quick, snappy dialogue exchanges, advancing the plot while believably building the players. And this then helps to make the action sequences even more effective. The story has allowed us to become invested in the cast. Once we care about them, the chase and danger do their job of providing the thrills. And then in the slasher department, this does not disappoint. When there are kills, they are savage and gruesome. We're talking blood spurting everywhere, internals suddenly becoming externals, and then some generally creative uses of weaponry to inflict incredible pain and harm. And this isn't Terrifier level gore, but when the violence arrives, it is brutal and fun. Jordana Brewster and Devon Sawa are two detectives who are working the case, and they each play their cop roles with just this extra enthusiasm. They have a snarky rapport, but then fully embrace the investigative side with a small wink and a nod, creating this semi-playful attitude that offsets the tragedy that they encounter. But it also works perfectly within the entire tone of the story. Now, like with almost any horror movie, you're going to have to suspend some disbelief. And in certain areas of this movie, almost all disbelief. There are a couple of sequences that are absurd, and unless you've already accepted the camp, they can become areas of extreme bother. At one point, the setting is the Seattle Police Department building, and there are less than 10 people in the entire thing. And while I've never had the privilege of wearing SPD's shiny bracelets or visiting the inside of their interrogation rooms, I am pretty certain that in a city of that size, the station would be just a bit more busy, even with a few officers. Nope, it's barren. This works to the story's advantage, but again, it's a massive plot convenience that you either need to go with or it will annoy you. And aside from a few selective locations, the rest of the city's pretty empty too. No cars driving about or people walking down sidewalks. And sure, yeah, the city is under threat of this serial killer, but we are shown where people are out and about, so to have other portions be desolate, it just kind of stands out as odd. Now this ended up being way more enjoyable and exciting than I imagined it might. The kills are barbaric and grisly, with anxiety that intensifies the relational aspect while not feeling sappy. Olivia Holt and Mason Gooding are excellent together, oozing charisma while trading flirtatious quips. And even though there are predictable arcs and disbelief that needs to be suspended, the scripting is tight with some endearing interactions. For a story and even genre that could feel overdone and tired, Hard Eyes embraces its campiness to wittily engage with the audience to deliver laughs, budding passion, and gag-inducing gore. We all have certain holiday-themed movies we love to watch yearly, and this one is certainly going on the list for Valentine's Day. There's sex, no nudity, a bunch of profanity, and then a ton of violence. I give Hard Eyes 4 out of 5 couches. This is a great watch. I hope you have as much fun with it as I did. Okay, so are there any V-Day themed horrors that you like to watch? I'd love to get your recommendations in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.